Welcome to Firm Foundations, powered by Parallel 42. This is where faith meets real life and leadership gets personal. I'm your host, Stephen C. Wilson. In each episode, we explore the timeless truths, everyday decisions, and transformational leadership principles that help you build a life that lasts. And today, I'm joined by Lindsey Leahy, executive coach, USA Today best-selling author, and founder of the Restoration Project. Known to her clients as a business therapist, Lindsay helps leaders grow with intention, navigate meaningful transitions, and do the deep inner work that leads to lasting outer impact that we all just enjoy doing, right, Lindsay? Yes, yeah, we all love doing that deep work. Yes. Her book, Take It All Apart, invites us to examine what we've built in life, leadership, and love, and ask if it's really working. I can't wait for you to hear. I've been waiting to have this conversation. Can't wait for you to hear it. Lindsay, I'm so glad you're able to join us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I've been equally as excited because you are so authentic and real and deep. And I just know we're going to explore things that, I mean, who knows what we're going to explore. I can't wait
That's
to find
right.
out.
That's right. Now we could do, half an hour, but hey, I'm running the controls, so we can always do two parts. But just again, before I even get into the first question there, a little bit of background on who Lindsay is.
Sure. Well, I would say I'm a lover of Jesus first. I am a wife. I have an amazing husband. I have four beautiful nieces who are very fun to spoil and then send back to their parents. And just love the small things in life. I think the older I get, the more I'm really relishing in relationship and simplicity and quiet moments out on my sun porch.
Mm,
And from a career perspective, I've been in sales for the majority of my career until in 2019 I started the Restoration Project, which was a pretty far pivot from what I had been doing. So,
yeah, I love it. This is a term that I've been hearing more of and more of. It's pivot or persevere. We have to make
mm,
those decisions. Do we pivot or do we persevere? If we're in an area, do we continue pushing through, or is that a time to pivot? So it sounds like
that's
that was
good.
a time to pivot. Now, don't you go writing a book called Pivot to Persevere, all
I
right?
won't.
I'll
That's
know.
yours.
That's mine. All right. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to launch the Restoration Project back in 2019?
Yeah, 2019. I would say God because the impetus of all of it was I had five dreams about Moses in the desert
Hmm.
over a period of like 6 weeks. And I came home and told my husband, I think God's calling me to ministry or missionary work or something. I don't, and my husband was like, well, I mean, at this time I'm at the top of my career from a sales perspective.
Yeah,
And so he just was like, I think maybe you're searching for something and trying to find it in a career and there's something bigger. So he encouraged
yeah,
me to take 90 days off and explore what I felt like God was calling me to. And the word restoration came first. This idea that on our life journey and in our leadership journey, we often don't think about how our lived experience has formed us, our
mhm,
beliefs and our behaviors. And
yeah,
I know in my own experience, I was really operating out of a place of what everyone else wanted from me and what they thought was important and not what was true
yeah,
to me. And that's how it all came to be.
yeah. And geez, that was 2019. And now a little bit of what Restoration Project is and does.
Most of what we do is one-on-one coaching in the professional space. So we do have some people that come to us for personal coaching. In fact, I've got a handful of executives who have said, my teenage daughter could actually really use some support here.
Hmm.
And so we've kind of built our business around faith, Steve,
Yeah,
instead of a formal
yeah,
business plan, and
yeah,
decided way back that God's going to open the doors and bring the people, and we will be obedient to
yeah,
loving on them and serving them and supporting them. So it's been schools, government, teenagers, executives. Now I'm working with people who have transitioned into retirement and are rethinking what their life should look like after
yeah.
a career. So it's been fun. But with that one-on-one is definitely our sweet spot. I mean, we also do
Yeah.
things with teams. We do some
Sure.
strategic planning and organizational identity and intentions work, but I would say that our whole group gets a lot of joy in the one-to-one.
Yeah. It is amazing that opportunity to really, as we talked about at the beginning, and I joked a little bit about it, but digging deeper,
Yes.
and you're not always able to do that in that group setting. The group setting can be great to kind of help maybe kick things off, stir things up a little bit, but then it really is in that one-to-one space that we're able really to dive in. I think it's the same way as you look at it from a perspective of church. Yeah, we can all attend, part of the
Mm,
body of Christ. We can attend church and we can receive from Christ. We can receive, but it's that one-to-one interaction that we have with him. That's
yes.
ultimately where we're really going to grow and change. So, um, your book, Take It All Apart. How long has it been out?
It came out October 1st of 2024, so almost a year. It will be a year in October.
Almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I understand it's going out on audiobook.
Audio.
Is
Yes,
that correct?
September
Yeah,
9th, the
yeah.
audiobook will drop.
Now, are you doing the audiobook?
No, see, you have a voice for it. I do not. And when they told me it would be 5 straight days in the studio, I was like,
Yeah,
no way, man. That sounds terrible.
yeah, yeah. Well, that is, yeah, yep. Hey, if you ever do volume two, I love doing voiceover and audio. Yeah, absolutely. But
Good to
anyway,
know.
yeah, I thought, well, she's got to be doing it. That'd be great. All right, yeah, yeah, 5 straight days. Yep. So that's coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And what, uh, what was your kind of the personal professional moment that made you realize something needed to be taken apart in your own life?
Mm. I talk about this a little bit in the book. I think it first started when I was working at Great America. I worked there right out of college. Amazing organization, invested a ton in me from a professional development, leadership development standpoint. And I was traveling all over the country and kind of at the height of my career there. And I woke up one day, I'd been all over from the West Coast to East Coast. I was in New York City and I hadn't been home. And I was just like, this can't be all that there is. I am deeply unhappy and lonely, and I'm in the most populated city in America, and I'm so lonely. So that was the start of me recognizing, like, wait a minute, why am I even doing this? Why am I climbing the
Yeah,
corporate ladder? Why, I don't even really like to travel. I don't have any friends because I'm traveling all the time. I have all this money, but I don't have any time to spend any of it or have any fun with
right.
it. What am I doing?
Yeah. And so then from that, what does it look like in practice? So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a very powerful and appealing title. It really speaks to it. Like, what do you mean taking it all
Oh,
apart? Can't we just build on the good things? I mean, what do you mean? So
that's yeah.
talk to
The
us. What
book
does that look like in reality?
Well, the book is divided into three parts. Part one is rebuilding connection with yourself, others, and the world around you. And then part two is restoring your intention. That's the dream part, the part that we
Okay.
usually enjoy and skip to. And then part three is aligning action. Like, okay, now I have these new discoveries and I have these new intentions. How do I put it together? So, part one is the part that I kept trying to skip over that left me
Mhm.
feeling empty and
Yeah.
unfulfilled. And that was a lot of a lot of rebuilding connection is about silence and stillness and
Yeah.
asking questions like, how am I feeling? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Those reflective practices that we get better at as we're older. But when we're
Yeah.
young, we're just hustling and hustling. And then some of us stay in that pattern for our whole life. And we get to the end of our life and we're like, what did I even do? What was this all
Yeah.
for? Did I live right? And that's the part, it's th- part one ends with surrender and release. So there's all these things we're walking through, reconnecting with ourselves and who we truly are, and then we're
Mm.
reflecting on our lived experiences and how those shaped our beliefs and behaviors. We're identifying influences in our life, we're inviting perspective. I mean, it's a lot of exploration of our inner world where some of us have only ever explored our outer world.
Yeah.
So that's really the most powerful part. And for me, that was important because, and I see this to this day, so many of us are making goals or setting intentions out of a place of fear or superficiality, not
Mhm.
from a place of authenticity and truth. And
Mm.
for you and me, rooted in what God really wants for us and what He's called,
Yeah.
the reason that He's calling us and why we're here.
So you've actually lived out, walked out,
I'm
um,
still taking it all apart every day,
what you
Steve. It's
yeah,
painful.
what you've written about, right? Those are
Hmm.
your experiences as well. Is there a particular then core theme or chapter from the book that particularly resonates with most of your clients, most of the readers? Have you had any feedback on that?
There, I wouldn't say that there's one that resonates most, but there are two that are the hardest that I get a lot of
Okay.
complaints about, which I call a win, you know?
Why did you
And
put this in there? I was
yes.
enjoying this book so much. Why did you put this in there?
And the first one is the first chapter, reconnecting with yourself and your identity. That one because it requires us to put the smartphone away, to
Yeah.
slow down, to make space, to sit in silence and solitude, which none of us are comfortable with. So that one is really challenging for people. And then the second one, and probably the other most important practice from the whole book, is the last chapter of part one, which is surrender and release. Like so many of us are carrying things or burying them, and they're impacting how we're walking through the world, and we've never become aware of that or haven't been willing to face it. And that's a
Mm.
key practice to be a resilient leader. We've got to learn how to move through things and surrender and release things so that we can continue forward.
Is there any has the response to the book, the success of it, the way that it's landed with readers, has any of that surprised you?
The number one piece of feedback that I get that I have just loved is not even about what is in the book. It's not the content. It is that it feels like a loving friend walking alongside me when I'm reading it. It's the
Mm.
tone that, and
Yeah.
that was so part of
Yeah.
my intention because, like you said, this work can be challenging and it can be a little bit even scary sometimes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure people felt held and safe and not alone in doing that exploration. So that just really warms my heart when I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, from a coach perspective, earlier, well, last week, um, had gone through a couple of coaching sessions, and I had a third. Well, actually, I had a third one scheduled, and I had to reach out to this individual, and I just said, can we reschedule?
Mm,
Because again, it just when it comes from the heart,
yes.
you're feeling it along with them, right? And that is sometimes a difficult challenge because you have to empathetic, you're feeling with them, but you're also then you have to help, as you say, guide them. And one of the things about being a guide, right? You've been there yourself. You've
Yes.
experienced these things yourself.
And still do. I mean, I pull
Yeah.
this book out regularly depending on what's happening in my life and our business. This is going to come out here soon, but I've been really rethinking over these it'll be 6 years. That we've been in business, and I started it on my own and then brought team members in, and
Hmm.
now we're scaling to this place where I I don't it something just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I just kept saying this is not working anymore. This is not, and what is this? And
Work.
so I've been using some of the prompts in this book to just reconnect with myself and what I really want, and take that all apart to figure out what of this isn't.
Yeah.
And then it just became clear my role on the team has to change in order for me to stay in the space that I feel
Mm.
like God's calling me to.
Yeah.
And so there will be some exciting and wild announcements about that coming out in the fall.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah. Um, but again, unless you pause and take time, you're gonna miss uh, that
Yes,
missed opportunity, or those things that are being said. Somebody recently said, right, we don't know how much noise we're living in until we're silent, right? We just
100%
don't have
Steve.
a clue of how much noise is going on around us, and we're reacting to the noise, and don't really have um, that time of silence where we can really hear what we need to hear. You mentioned many of your clients are going through transition. So some of them are
Hmm.
new roles, really identity shifts, stages in life, right? Leadership growth. What's a mindset shift you help them make in your coaching
Hmm.
process?
I think the number one is helping them work through letting go of control, like the worst
Mm.
case scenarios, So whenever we're facing a transition, we can't see what it's going to turn out to be oftentimes, or
Yeah.
we think about all the reasons that this won't work out or this won't go right. And so I hold a lot of space for people to talk through what could go right, what could go wrong, best and worst case scenarios, how we might deal with that, and then help them come back to, regardless of anything that were to happen, what does your heart say? Because that's the other part that I feel like we don't let ourselves dream or tap in to that place. For me, the restoration project, there was a million reasons, Steve, why this shouldn't have worked out. And if I would have followed my head, I would never have taken the step. And so I want to empower people to, again, think beyond fear and superficiality and what's really calling to you, and then bring back in the realities of your situation and what constraints there might be. But allowing people to really dream and open up can be very empowering, even if they decide not to go forward.
Hmm. In there, you also talk about intention, right?
Hmm.
Intentionality, and in love, leadership, work. Do you think that intention is hard to hold on to? And that's part one. And if so, especially for high performing individuals, why is it so hard?
Yes, I think it's very hard to hold on to because partly because of noise, but also because of fear, right? We might have a pure intention and be motivated to do something, but then all these constraints or fears or things that happen start to creep in and cloud our intention or reason for doing or pursuing something. And we change and the world changes. And so it's almost a I think people are like, oh, I'm going to read it and then I'm done. And it's like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. These are practices. If you
Hey,
want to
you,
live
you,
in,
you promised me in the back of the book, it said if you get all the way to here, your prize is all problems will be solved and you'll be ready to go.
that's the part that I'm like, no, this is a new way of living that requires constant realignment to
Yeah.
your truest intentions, right? And doing those reflections. Why am I doing this? Am I motivated or obligated? Am I doing this out of fear? Am I doing this out of love? It's hard work, like you said. And some days I'm like, it's exhausting. I'm putting it on autopilot for a week and just going with the
Yeah.
flow. And that's okay too.
Yeah. Um, there's a quality guru that talked about, process improvement and systems improvement. And he always spoke about that essentially you need to blow up your existing system, your existing process,
Mm,
and start from the beginning, right? Is that, something similar in the sense of restoring, not just kind of, okay, finding out what works best, but what's that kind of approach that you take with folks as kind of looking at these things and that restoration and building new systems, if
yeah.
you will, and processes and mindsets?
We almost always start with the question of what does success look like for you and what's meaningful and valuable to you. And then once I let them go wherever they'll go, then I come back to how is your time, money, and energy aligned or misaligned to those things? Because that's where people can wake up to the gap. I mean, my own coach, when I started with him, I named faith as one of my top three. And he said, well, how much time are you giving to God? And I was like, oh, my leftover 2 minutes a day.
Right.
So that reveals a
Yeah. Right
different
now, God help
system.
me get an answer. Right there we go. That was
Yes,
it.
yes. Yeah, and so that reveals the system or the strategy by which you're living and how the actual behaviors need to change in order for what you want to come to reality. Or like I said, I want to be peaceful because I want to bring peace into the world. Well, Steve, that requires me to make a lot of really difficult decisions about how I spend my time because if
Yeah.
I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, I can't have peace and I can't bring peace into the world, you know? So
Right.
I like to ask people those questions and then point out where there are discrepancies and then give them the freedom to decide what they want to do with it. But that a lot of us just aren't aware. And that's a really helpful, healthy way to help people wake up without feeling judged or guilty about it.
Hmm. Do you see whether you're dealing with leaders, homemakers, teenagers, as you've talked about, are there some kind of common patterns you see in people as far as getting stuck or hitting a wall?
Yes. Control. Controlling what is not theirs to control. I mean, that's our
Yeah.
number one, right? The
Yeah.
amount of energy we put into things that we cannot control.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and the other common pattern that really this has been a true test for me, and God has really refined my heart and my spirit by putting me in this space is blaming and complaining or playing the victim.
Yeah.
That is a pet peeve of mine. And it's not so much like you shouldn't, you have more power. It's more, it breaks my heart the amount of power that people give to other people or to
Yeah.
things and give
Yeah.
their own agency away when they have the power to make a difference in their life. Even if you can't change the circumstance, the way you think about it or what you learn from it can be positive. And it's such a simple concept, but it's so difficult to put into practice, even in my own life.
Yeah.
So that comes up a
Well, and
lot.
that's the answer to it. Well, that sense that, oh, geez, because you wrote a book and you do this and that you've got it all dialed in.
Oh, no way, no way.
No, no. And I think then it's important then for you as well with that authenticity and um, the transparency and modeling the way. So
Hmm.
how do you model the way to your um, those individuals that you're working with?
One of the most important parts of my practice, my individual practice, is staying in line with my coach. So I see my coach very regularly, and then using some of the reflection questions and practices in the book on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Because I need to continue to reveal to myself where I'm out of alignment or out of integrity or out of my own intentionality. And
yeah,
then I openly am sharing that with my clients when it's appropriate so that
mm,
they know that they're not alone. And
yeah,
it's so interesting because, like in therapy, you're not supposed to share personal stories and things, but that's how we connect with each other. And when I
right,
share a personal story, then it
yeah.
opens up a whole different level of connection for us.
Right. Yeah. And it's not in an environment where, you're trying to one up them on
No,
your story.
no.
It's husband and wife wake up together and it was whoever the first one that says they got a bad night's sleep, they're the one that wins, right? Well, geez,
Yes.
well, I didn't, I only slept this amount. Well, I only slept. No, you're not trying to one up them, but you are demonstrating again, modeling the way to recognize that, hey, just because I'm sitting on this side of the aisle does not mean that I've got it all
Mm-mm.
together. I go
No.
through some of the very same things as well. On that line, how do you personally stay grounded and renewed while guiding others through that
Mm.
deep transformation?
I have a very, most people would say strict morning and evening routine, because those are my anchors. And then little anchors throughout the day of prayer. For me, so on my own journey, and I already have the title for the next book, because this is, I think, because you're a fellow believer. One of the things I've recognized is it's helpful to know yourself, right? Because God made you the way He made you for a reason, and
Right.
then you have to surrender yourself, right?
Right.
And that part for me, the morning prayer, the morning workout, because of how I'm wired, the morning devotion time, those moments of staying connected to God in all things is what keeps me grounded and centered. And I say, Steve, like this book is not. Lindsay didn't write this. This was divinely inspired. This is a gift from God that I just was the channel for. And that keeps me also in the right head and heart space when I'm
Yeah.
doing this work, both from a humility and a confidence standpoint, right?
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, absolutely. For listeners who feel something in their life needs to be taken apart, where do they begin?
I would say tap in. So one of the very simple practices, there's two that I would offer, just to kind of allow yourself a starting point, because there's so much happening in our bodies that most of us are not aware of. The first is the dumping exercise. It's early on in the book. It's as simple as take out a blank sheet of paper, divide it into three columns, label at the top what's on my mind, what's on my heart, and what's on my to-do list. And then
Hmm.
just let yourself dump all of that out on paper so that you can start to see what you're carrying in there and
Yeah.
become aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your energy. That's a really, really good practice. And then
Mm.
similarly, there's another practice in the book called SNAP. And this is from actually the people that wrote Susan Stabile that wrote the Enneagram book, The Road Back to You.
Mhm.
Stop, notice, ask, and pivot. So
Mm.
literally stop moving, come to the present moment, notice how you're feeling, what you're thinking about, ask yourself, what do I
Mm.
need in this moment? What,
Yeah.
it's all about bringing awareness to thoughts, feelings, energy,
Hmm. Mm. Yeah.
because that's what helped me. I was like, okay, everyone says I should be so happy because I have this great career and I'm traveling all the time and I have all this money and I feel terrible, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
That and then what am I going to do about that?
Right. Hmm. Mm. All right. Lightning round here.
Ooh, yay. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. Fill in the blank here. Leadership would be better if more people.
Mm. Came with open hearts and open minds.
Mm. All right. What's a book besides your own? Uh,
Thank you.
well, that has deep. I mean, it still is, right? It has deeply shaped how you lead or coach.
Oh, there's so many.
I know you got to narrow it
Um,
down to one.
I'm gonna say I'm looking at my. I mean, I love all of Patrick Lencioni's and Brene
Hmm.
Brown's. I would probably say Dare to Lead inspired me to think about leadership very differently and more
Hmm.
humanly. So I'll name that one by Brene Brown.
Okay, excellent. If you had a billboard that every
Mm.
leader would see for 10 seconds, what would it say?
Oh my gosh. You are loved.
And last, what's next for you in the restoration project? I
Oh,
know you
well,
said some things are coming up, so
yes, yes.
I don't
We've
want to let the
actually,
cat out of the bag, but
yes, so there will be some shifting going on that will be positive, but some real tangible things that if you wanted to participate in, you could. We've got an in-person workshop happening September 14th at the Indian Creek Nature Center that my business partner Brooke is leading, and then I've got a three-part series on part one of the book coming up in October 2nd, 9th, and 16th. Both of those are a $47 ticket price because our generous sponsors. So that's a couple ways that you could come party with us.
excellent. Closing thoughts, closing comments.
I'm really grateful that you have created a space to talk about leadership in this holistic way. Thank you. We need more of this. And um, thank you for including God in this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lindsay, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it so much. And it's like, yeah, I'd just like to schedule these once a month so then I
We
can
can
get
do
some
it again.
additional coaching. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I would say, yeah, I'd love to, especially as new things begin to come out. If somebody wants to contact you, what's the best way?
Oh, yes. So info at the-restorationproject.com or on our website, there's a form. It's the-restorationproject.com.
Okay, excellent. And of course, you're on LinkedIn.
Yes. Lindsay M. Leahy, all my social media handles, and then at your leadership coaches for the Restoration Project.
Okay, all right. Lindsay, thank you again for being a guest on Firm Foundations.
Thank you, Steve.